Having a pet seems straightforward, right? Like owning a dog or a cat. But it's not always so simple. There's a whole world of pet ownership out there that's more complex than you might think. Sure, many folks stick with the traditional pets, like dogs, cats, or maybe a cute guinea pig. But others crave something different, something exotic, something dangerous, or even a bit strange. Some people are drawn to owning animals that are far from typical. They might opt for creatures like hyenas or crocodiles, which are not only unusual, but also potentially dangerous. So buckle up and prepare to be amazed by some of the most unexpected pets people choose to bring into their homes. Take a look at these pet wolves. Wolves can be incredibly dangerous animals, which is why most people don't keep them as pets. Sadly, Sandra Piovison had to learn this the hard way. Sandra, from Pennsylvania, had 9 wolves as pets. On May 4, 2012, they mauled her, tragically ending her life. Sandra's entire backyard was dedicated to her wolves, and she would even feed them roadkill deer. However, this love was not reciprocated, and these wolves ended Sandra's life. What do you think about whether hyenas can be good pets in general? Some people believe they can keep African hyenas as pets, but it often doesn't work out well. One person who knows a lot about raising hyenas says the main problem is that people don't have enough patience to train them. It's important to remember that even if you get a hyena when it's young, it's still a wild animal, not domesticated like a dog or cat. So, you have to treat them with respect and understand their wild nature. You also need to feed them the right food, which is different from what you might eat or find at a fast food restaurant. Keeping a hyena in a small apartment is a bad idea because they need space to roam. It's better to have a yard or some outdoor area for them. Overall, it might be smarter to get a dog instead of trying to keep a hyena as a pet. Once upon a time, people used to keep crocodiles as pets because they thought they were cute and exotic. But as the crocs grew bigger, they became too hard to handle and were let go. In Indonesia, where they have different ideas about crocodiles, a toddler played with a small crocodile that grew up to be 4.5 feet long. Surprisingly, the toddler wasn't hurt at all. The family didn't buy the crocodile when it was big. They got it when it was tiny. Crocodiles grow very quickly, so soon the croc was bigger than the toddler. But the toddler wasn't scared. She played with the croc fearlessly. Her family was happy about it and even hoped she would become a zookeeper one day. Imagine her interview. "Are you good with animals? Want to see pictures of me and my pet crocodile?" And then she gets the job. In 2016, a couple in Russia named Alexander and Mariah decided to adopt a young cougar named Messi and raise him as a pet in their small studio apartment. It's not a very wise idea to keep such a big animal in a small space. They tried to keep Messi on a schedule to make sure he was taken care of properly and wouldn't make a huge mess, which is always possible with a big cat. Messi eats twice a day with a diet of turkey, beef, chicken breast, and some bones. Despite the risks, Messi gained a lot of followers on Instagram and YouTube, becoming a local celebrity. This story isn't uncommon. People often try to make their pets famous on social media, even if it's not the best idea for the animal's well-being. A couple decided to adopt a 100-pound boar. They found the boar alone in the woods, sick and starving. Feeling sorry for the poor animal, they rescued it. Surprisingly, despite being a wild animal, the boar started to behave like a dog under their care. It even learned to pose on the stairs when asked by its owners. It's amazing how animals can adapt to human care. The crocodile living in an Indonesian backyard. Typically, having a crocodile in your backyard would lead to animal protection authorities getting involved. But not in this case. Kojek is actually a pet to a family led by Erwin. Kojek spends his days in a small water channel at the back of the garden. The family's washing hangs nearby, and the children play ball games next to him. Despite being a predator, Kojek has been with the family for over 2 decades and has never harmed a human. Well, except for that one time he caught a cat, but the cat was behaving strangely anyway. It's impressive how well the family manages to keep Kojek under control. These are two pet crocodile stories that surprisingly didn't end in disaster. Despite their cute appearance, koalas are actually quite dangerous. They eat poisonous eucalyptus leaves. Yeah, they munch on poison to keep predators away. One time, there was a koala named Henry who got separated from his parent and was in danger. An 11-year-old girl rescued Henry and took care of him until he could go back to the wild. But Henry got into trouble again, and the girl had to help him out once more. After a few tries, Henry was back to being his wild koala self. Sloths are known for being slow and lazy, spending most of their time in trees. Some people don't like sloths because of their laid-back lifestyle, but one family was thrilled to adopt one. Guinea and Terry Koenig became the proud owners of Enzo, a sloth bred in captivity. They had wanted a sloth for a long time, for reasons known only to them. They had to set up Enzo's living space just right to match his natural habitat, which they did without any worries. And while sloths might seem harmless, they can be quite powerful when they want to be, so you better watch out. A wolf dog is a mix between a wild wolf and a domesticated dog. Because of their wolf heritage, they can be very protective of their home and family. But they can also act aggressively, like a wild wolf, which makes them tricky pets to have. In some countries, like Norway, they're even banned because of the risk they pose to people. Yet, despite the dangers, some people still choose to keep them as pets. It's winter, and you want to get warm. Most people would bundle up, start a fire, and snuggle under blankets. But for Svetlana and Yuri Pantelenko, their idea of getting warm involves snuggling with a 300-pound brown bear. This bear is over 7 feet tall, not exactly small or compact. But for Svetlana and Yuri, their bear is kind and playful. Despite what you might think, he's not aggressive at all. He loves people and is very sociable. No one has ever been bitten by him. While we can be happy for Svetlana and Yuri, it's definitely not something most of us would risk. Snuggling with a brown bear as a pet is definitely out of the question. Cheetahs are actually quite popular as pets in the exotic pet market. In South Africa, there's a special story about Milan and his sister Kayla, who have 2 cheetah pets named Waku and Skylar. These siblings have grown up with the cheetahs in their home and have formed a strong bond with them. They even share their toys and take their cheetah friends for rides in the family's mini-jeep. But how did they end up with these cheetahs? Well, their family lives near the Garden Route Game Lodge in South Africa, where one of the cheetahs gave birth to 4 cubs. Milan and Kayla's parents adopted 2 of these cubs so they could raise them. However, they don't plan on keeping them forever. They've been teaching the cheetahs how to hunt on their own, hoping they'll be able to return to the wild one day. For now, though, Waku and Skylar are simply cherished pets in Milan and Kayla's household. Tigers are one of the most desired exotic pets out there, and some people go to extreme lengths to get them. You might remember Joe Exotic, who famously raised tigers at his zoo and claimed to be close to them. However, many of these tigers ended up attacking him or his co-workers, causing serious injuries. It's not just zoos. Some individuals are willing to risk illegal activities to bring a young tiger cub home. There was even a case where someone tried to hide a tiger cub in a suitcase, hoping to go unnoticed at an airport. It's actions like these that make us wonder why some people make such foolish decisions. Let's talk about the Empty Animal Ark, a unique place where over 90 wild animals are housed in a courtyard. Dr. Prakash, Empty and his wife Mandakini set up this place as an animal rescue shelter, which is truly commendable. The shelter, recognized as a rescue center since 1991, houses various animals including jackals, leopards, hyenas, porcupines, an Indian python, a crocodile, peacocks, sloth bears, and more. It's become a popular attraction, especially among children. But how did it all start? Dr. Prakash Empty noticed that local tribes were hunting animals, including their babies, for food. In exchange for things like rice, he persuaded them to spare the animal babies. It all began with a baby monkey, and his collection grew from there. While setting up a shelter like this isn't something everyone can do, it's a noble endeavor. Hunting animals for food is understandable in some situations, but killing their babies harms their population and is cruel. The empty animal ark provides a safe haven for many animals to live happily. Reindeer. While reindeer may not seem dangerous at first glance, they can be if you're on the wrong end of their antlers. They can be skittish and potentially pose a threat. However, for a reindeer named Artu, it's a different story. Artu was abandoned by his mother as a calf in the northern Finnish wilderness. He was rescued by a young boy and eventually found his way to Miss Tukanen. After being raised by her for years, Artu has gone from being anti-social to eating food from a plate at the dinner table. It's a testament to proper raising, but you still wouldn't want to encounter him unexpectedly, especially at 60 miles an hour in front of your vehicle. Now, on to iguanas. While iguanas might not be considered highly dangerous pets, they can still cause problems if you're not careful. They're usually small lizards and typically not feared for being dangerous. However, there's a special video that showcases an iguana happily living in someone's backyard but acting like a dog. When the owner comes home, the iguana eagerly greets them, just like a dog would. It's quite remarkable because iguanas aren't usually known for being so animated. This unique behavior is something worth admiring, and it's a reminder that animals can surprise us with their behaviors. This time, it's about a male lion who's so comfortable with his owner that he hangs out on the couch. The man from Pakistan bought the lion cub and lets him roam freely in his home. It might not be the smartest idea, but the man doesn't seem to mind. Baba, the lion, already weighed over 12 stone when he was bought and ate 17 pounds of raw meat every day. Now, Baba likely gets even more love and attention, considering it's been 2 years since the story began. The lion has his own king-sized bed with a double mattress and air conditioning in the family's plush bungalow. It's quite a lavish setup, to say the least. However, having a lion as a pet comes with significant risks. If Baba were to turn feral, it would be a massive problem for the family and others. Some of his animal instincts might not be fully tamed either. But does this seem to bother the man who owns him? Not really. He's probably bragging to everyone about having a lion as a pet. Let's start with kangaroos. While they might seem awesome from afar or in movies, kangaroos can actually be quite dangerous. They're known for their powerful kicks, which can easily subdue someone. So, who would be foolish enough to have one as a pet? Well, it's simple. Someone who found a baby kangaroo and raised it as their own. Australian comedian Jackson O'Doherty rescued a baby kangaroo named Damien from the side of a rural highway near Sydney when she was just a few weeks old. They've been inseparable ever since. Damien even enjoys chasing her father on beaches for fun. While it's adorable to see them together, it could have been a different story if Jackson had tried this with a full-grown adult kangaroo. Owls aren't uncommon pets, and in fact, they were part of the lore of Harry Potter. But there's a particular story about a young girl and her snow owl that's quite heartwarming. The video shows the girl and her owl exchanging hugs and kisses, showing their close bond. However, owls can be dangerous pets if they're not raised properly. Wild owls can be territorial and aggressive, attacking anyone who gets too close to their nest. But if you raise an owl from birth, you tend to be okay. The girl in the video has a snowy owl that doesn't hurt her, which is fortunate, but it's not always the case with wild owls. Let's start with giant pythons. Snakes can be tricky as pets, but usually the worst thing you have to worry about is getting bitten if you tick them off. However, some people want the biggest snakes possible, and apparently children love them too. Take Emmy, for example, who loves her set of pet reticulated pythons named Sunny and Cher. Emmy has had these snakes since she was 4 years old, and despite their size of over 15 feet long, they haven't shown any aggressive behavior towards her or her family. They seem very tame and gentle, which is quite adorable. Now, on to Jessica the hippo. Hippos might seem fun-loving from afar, but they're actually one of the most dangerous animals in the world. However, Jessica's story is different. She was found as a baby hippo in an emaciated state along the banks of the Blyde River in South Africa and taken to a rehabilitation centre. Raised by humans, Jessica didn't develop aggressive tendencies towards humans. Instead, she became an ambassador for her species and a tourist attraction in South Africa, where people can pet her for a small fee. While Jessica's story is heartwarming, it's worth noting that another person in South Africa had a pet hippo that ended tragically when it attacked him. Jessica's story may be an exception rather than the rule. Let's talk about Kangol, the Turkish Kangal, one of the deadliest dog breeds globally. It's so dangerous that it's banned in many countries, including Denmark. Moreover, it's illegal to take Kangals out of their native country, Turkey. But there's a Turkish man named Yakup Dirim who owns a massive Kangal named Barez, which means boar in Turkish. Barez is enormous, strong, powerful and fast. Just check out the incredible bite force of this dog. To make it even scarier, Barez wears a spiky collar. Yakup literally has to hide from his dog when it comes out because Kangal dogs can be very aggressive. However, they're excellent for home defense. I doubt any burglar would dare to mess with a house guarded by this dog. Let's talk about the Xoloitzcuintla dog breed, also known as Xolo for short. The full name can be a bit of a mouthful, so it's a good thing there's an easier version. You might have guessed from the name that these dogs have roots in the Aztec civilization. Indeed, the Aztec Empire existed from the 14th to the 16th century AD, but Xolos were around in Latin America long before that. They're believed to have appeared in what is now Mexico around 5000 BC, making them one of the oldest breeds globally. Many scientists are certain that Xolos are among the most ancient dog breeds. In the past, they were considered. Now onto the Thai Ridgeback, another ancient breed. It's the national breed of Thailand and a source of pride for the country. Cynologists who study dogs consider them one of the oldest breeds on the planet. Unlike Xolos, the exact origin of Thai Ridgebacks is still a mystery to scientists. They're quite common in Thailand and other Southeast Asian countries, but outside of this region, they're extremely rare. There are only about 1,000 of these dogs outside Southeast Asia, and they only appeared in the US in 1994, which is relatively recent given their long history. It's unfortunate that these dogs aren't more common because they make excellent pets. Thai Ridgebacks are independent, easy to handle in everyday life, good defenders and great companions. Some people opt for pets like guinea pigs, hamsters, cats or dogs, while others go for something a bit more unconventional, real snakes. It wouldn't be too concerning if these snakes remained small, but some of them can grow to colossal sizes. Hexie, the python, is a perfect example. He's the pet of a Briton named Marcus Hobbs, and quite possibly the largest pet snake on the planet. Marcus acquired Hexie from a pet store a decade ago when the reptile was just a tiny creature no more than 20 centimeters long. But now, Hexie has grown immensely. He's almost 6 meters long and weighs over 114 kilograms, and he keeps getting bigger. Feeding such a massive snake is no easy task. Hexie dines on rabbits, deer, calves, goats, and even pigs, supplied by local farmers. As you can imagine, the expenses add up. Marcus spends thousands of pounds each month to maintain Hexie. However, the financial burden isn't the main concern. Despite being domesticated, Hexie still poses a threat. He's capable of strangling or even swallowing a person, so Marcus and his family are constantly in danger. Marc Dumas made a bold move by adopting a polar bear named AG. Is the Canadian afraid of his massive pet? It doesn't seem so. Marc and AG share a remarkably warm and intimate bond. In fact, the female bear allows Marc to play and wrestle with her. Marc is even able to put his head in the predator's mouth, confident that nothing will happen to him. The two also enjoy swimming together in the pool. Marc might be the only person in the world who can safely swim with such a dangerous and enormous predator. The reason behind this trusting relationship is that Marc adopted AG when she was just a baby. Since AG has spent most of her life not in the wild, she hasn't fully developed into a formidable predator. However, Mark is aware that AG's predatory instincts could kick in at any moment. So, he always remains cautious and never pushes the boundaries too far, ensuring their safety.